Welcome back for a new game review. This time we are looking at Virtua Fighter 5. And the first thing to know about this game is right now it is free for PS Plus members, of course, for this month, the month of June. If you haven't downloaded it yet and you are a PS Plus member, do yourself a favor, immediately download it. It's not a huge size game. Also, if you want like all the additional content, DLC, everything is all only $9.99 for the additional DLC, more than what the asking price given what you get. Also, right now I've been uploading off and on, been recording gameplay and stuff, doing full arcade playthroughs of the game, as well as occasionally I'm recording like first online rank match with some characters, and off and on might do some more online rank matches with specific characters. We'll see. But with that said, now if you're wondering what is the normal price for it once it's up, or if you're not a PS Plus member for everything combined, the game with all the DLC content, everything in one package, the asking price is only $29.99 on a budget title. So, I definitely think it's more than worth the asking price of $29.99, even that. For a great solid 3D fighter, if you are a fan of old school 3D fighters, if you're a fan of like more technical sound things, I would say specifically if you are a fan of the Dead or Alive series, I think you will appreciate games like Virtua Fighter a lot more so, because they are, like Virtua Fighter, a more specifically well-grounded, more realistic style fighting game, more within the realms of actual reality. So it makes a lot more sense. Now, I will say, if you come into Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown with more the mindset of a 3D game like Tekken, you're going to have definitely some major issues when it comes down to it, because it's definitely not something you can just jump into from a game like Tekken. Now, if you're used to 3D fighters like Dead or Alive, with no previous experience with the Virtua Fighter series, I think you will actually enjoy the gameplay and stuff a lot more. So it's not really surprising that there's been in the past quite a few Virtua Fighter characters, specifically in DOA 5 and a few from DOA 6 that have reappeared. But with that said, I think DOA 5 Ultimate Showdown is a superb fighter. Though it's old, the game looks far superior to what it was like back more than a decade ago on the 360 and PS3 generation. Specifically, the visuals was a little bit more on the realistic side in the original version of the game versus the new remastered version. But I like the art style better, like the new like hit sparks and stuff for the hitting and stuff, combat-wise. I much prefer the overall redesign, also with some of the characters going a bit more stylistic approach. And the lighting is far superior in this game versus the older version, or original version, of Virtua Fighter 5. Ultimate Showdown, way better lighting and everything with the textures and stuff. I think, in general, like the stages look way better as well. But that's probably because they used the Dragon engine. Or at least that's what I believe they call it, but it's the same engine that they use for the Yakuza games, more recent ones, as well as, of course, Yakuza Like a Dragon, which is why the lighting and the hit sparks and everything are very different. But I think it actually plays to the strengths. In my opinion, this is arguably the definitive way to play Virtua Fighter 5. Now, if you don't have a PS4 or PS5, I feel sorry for you. If you, however, do, and you thought about if you've never played a Virtua Fighter game before, but you like 3D style fighters, I do highly recommend you pick or get this game downloaded right now while it's free, and try it out. I actually think even though the netcode, from what I've played so far online, even though the netcode is not rollback, the style of netcode they do use is actually surprisingly pretty good, though it's a bit older netcode, I'll be honest. I think Sega did a pretty good, solid job with this remaster. I'm actually surprised at how good the netcode is. I would actually probably put this in my top 5 fighting games I've played, at least so far, online experience, since I've only played people in North America online. Which is probably why I haven't had any major issues, but I will say it's a great fun game. I highly recommend to any 3D fighting game fan, or if you're just in general a fighting game fan and a Sony person, give this a shot. But as somebody who's been playing Virtual Fighter since all the way back at like the Saturn era, I remember back when like Virtual Fighter arcade machine was around. It was definitely, it's a nostalgia thing for me personally. I am happy to admit I'm an old school fan of the series and love it, and always will love Virtual Fighter. It is, in my opinion, criminally underrated series that deserves more love than it gets. But I could say the same thing also about DOA. But with that said, this game is actually a good, I think, starting point. Like, it has a good entrance level with some easy, very basic combos, but there's also a lot more complexity when it gets down into the deeper areas and mechanics of what some characters are actually capable of. Very much like DOA, it has some decent starting level, and then if you want more complexity and a lot more in-depth engagement in the mechanics, like DOA, Virtual Fighter has you covered in that area. If you want a good online arcade experience, and as long as you have decent Wi-Fi yourself, get this game, try it out. I highly recommend it. Now, overall, I love the soundtrack, which you hear music in the background from it. Overall, I want to give an overall grade on this stuff as a whole. And I'll say an old traditional 1 to 10 on 3 specific areas on this game. I'll give my final grade. I think when it comes to the remastering with the new lighting, using the Dragon engine, or the Yakuza engine if you will, I think the game gets overall, though it's not super great, it's a remaster, and for that alone, I give it a 10 out of 10 on presentation. It looks great, the hit sparks are so much better now. Online, at least for me personally, I give it a 10 out of 10 with the online service, but that's just for me. And I would give also a 10 out of 10 for the overall package. I think for the value, it's definitely more than worth it. Even if you were willing, or rather going to pay the normal $29.99 price. I hope this gets a physical release, even if it's through some like limited run. We'll see. But with that said, as a whole, my final verdict for Virtual Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown, I give it a grading of an A+. Very much deserving of the rating, in my personal opinion. And I look forward to reviewing in the near future another fighting game, which I have one in mind, but I'm gonna wait and surprise. But the next fighting game I will be reviewing will be a game for the Switch, so stay tuned for that. So with that said, leave a comment below. Are you an old school Virtual Fighter fan? If you are, have you tried the game yet? If so, what's your opinion on it? And how would you give the overall netcode? But with that said, and also, who's your favorite character in Virtual Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown? But with that said, I'll see y'all next time. Stay safe, and stay tuned for a future couple of game reviews I'm working on, as well as some future gameplays. So with that said, I hope everyone has a good rest of the week, good upcoming weekend. See you soon.